Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Crafternoon with Camrose Public Library. My name is Nicole, and for today's project you're going to need some paper, some paints of a variety of colors. I'm using acrylics today, but you could use tempera paints or water paints, whatever you happen to have on hand. If you're using water-based paint, just make sure it's not too terribly watery. So we're going to try to make some folk art flowers kind of in the style of Maud Lewis, who's a famous Canadian painter. She grew up in rural Nova Scotia, and she had some birth defects that left her hunched over in pain. Her hands were crippled. So folk art flowers were how she expressed herself. She earned a living for more than 30 years creating folk art on anything from like cardboard to wood to wallpaper. She lived alone for most of her adult life, and this was how she made her living and made her name in the art world. So we're going to try to paint like Maud Lewis. So first step is we need to use some pretty bright colors. So I'm going to start with, you pick a palette of like 4 or 5 colors, and you need black and white as well for some of them. So we're going to do the center of our flower. We're just going to paint with a flat brush, if you have it, a circle. So the best way to paint a simple circle is to just take your flat brush and spin it, and it will make a circle. And you can widen that circle if you want it to be bigger, but if you don't have to. And next we need to make some inner petals. So I think I am going to use, red for my inner petals. So with a different paintbrush, just keep your paintbrush because you will be adding more dabs of color. And they don't have to be super perfect because it's folk art, right? Some little bumps, and you do it all the way around. And if your lines kind of overlap where your circle is and where you're making your petals, don't worry about it because we're going to fill in a lot of the lines bordering where our paint touched with black after it's dried a bit. These are super cheerful. Like if you were to do these on like a wood panel and put them outside in the summertime, they'd be so lovely. And quite often, Maud Lewis's flowers would have more than one layer of petals. So now I'm going to take some yellow and I'm going to make another layer of petals surrounding my red ones. You want to start at the outer edge of one of your petals and go that like I said, you don't have to be too concerned. See how my red is smearing into my yellow? That's perfectly fine. And another petal here. Actually, the red smearing into the yellow looks pretty. It's making it kind of orange. And another one here. And then you can fill them in with paint. So I've done a few of these in a few different shapes and colors ahead of time because part of doing this style of art is letting things dry in between and then going back and adding more details. So that's one that I've done just now. And here's something similar that you can see that I've added some more details to. It's almost exactly the same actually, but I have added an outer layer and a few little dips and dabs. And once that's dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take a very thin paintbrush and some white paint. You can I'm going to go with white first. And I'm going to add some details to this inner layer here. So like some little dots in the middle of my flower, little white dots. And maybe some lines going out like this. And I'm going to outline this in white. There. So, some details for the center of my flower. Maybe I'll add some little white highlights here on my petals. On my yellow petals. So you don't need a lot of paint for these little highlight jobs. And I'm going to wash my brush out. Part of what makes Maud Lewis's flowers so striking is the use of these kind of accent colors, the bright white and the dark black. So using the same fine-tipped paintbrush and black, I am just going to go around the outside of some of my petals here. Boop and boop. And boop. And you want to add these accent pieces after, because like I said, it'll hide some of the imperfections that have happened when you're mixing colors and stuff. I think I'm going to add another line of black right here around my outer petals as well. I really like Maud Lewis's work because it's they're so colorful, in every color you can imagine, and the colors don't have to match either. See? And then once you're all done, you can cut them out. Make sure you leave a bit of a border of white around, because that'll just add more focus to your piece. Here's some more ones that I've started that I'm going to finish here to give you some more ideas of different patterns and stuff that you can use. So, in these nice little blue flowers, I think I'm going to use some green, and I'm going to add an inner layer of petals. Just going to freehand it. You don't have to, by any means, look for perfection with this. See, I just outlined it there like that. And I'm going to fill it in. If you're not sure what kinds of colors to use, if you went online and just did a quick search for Maud Lewis, I'm sure you would find a lot of examples of her art. So, ta-da! I think we need some purple in this one too. Kind of feels like it needs some purple. Mostly because I just really love purple. We will do a purple layer around the green that I just did. And a good trick for making polka dots is using the end of your paintbrush. I'm going to do some purple just around the center of this flower here. And I think it needs some fuchsia too, so one more paintbrush. I need to wash it. You go through a lot of paintbrushes because you use so many different colors and it's lovely. Some bright pink just around the outside of this one. Oh, my paint is too watered down. I did not dry my brush well enough. Dry your brushes, folks. Makes for a nicer painting. That might need a couple of layers of pink just to fill it in. And then, I don't know, maybe some yellow polka dots around the edges. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yellow on my purple stripe. And then again, to give it some definition, see, we are going to use some black. And just go around the borders where your colors touch. You can make these black layers as thin or as thick as you want. This one I'm doing really quickly just to show you guys how that little bit of contrast between your colors can make all the difference into how your finished painting pops. And I'm doing it really quickly so it's not as bright as I would like it to be, but one more little flower. So there you have it, guys. Just don't forget to let it dry in between, and then you'll avoid problems like this. So dry in between colors, but this one turned out quite nicely. Here's another unfinished shape that I haven't done yet, just to give you guys another idea. But happy painting in the style of Maud Lewis. Please email me some of your paintings if you do one. It is my email address is nicole@prl.ab.ca. I'd love to see them. Thanks, you guys, and happy crafternooning.